What is well-being and why is it important? Well, thankfully, this is a question we as New Zealanders are starting to ask ourselves a whole lot more in recent years. And I know that you've probably talked a lot about this at school already, or at least I hope you have. Thankfully, we're starting to understand that well-being can be a little bit like a formula. So if we learn the various building blocks involved in this formula and we actually act on them and live by them to a certain extent, and become consciously aware of them and their impact they have on us, then we'll start walking towards well-being. And well-being, in my definition, or definition that's commonly used, is simply feeling good and functioning well. From that place, you can do anything. Why do we talk about well-being and not happiness? Well, I go into quite a lot of detail about this in the book, as you've possibly already seen in the introduction to the feeling good and functioning well section. But happiness, when we're chasing happiness or prioritizing happiness, we can sometimes make decisions in the moment that actually, although they might feel great in that particular split second, they might have consequences that pull against or take us away from happiness that's longer term or more sustainable. So we might think, yeah, this is a great idea. I'm going to do what makes me happy right this minute. And it might end up actually not being something that makes us happy in a year or two. I probably don't need to paint too many examples in that particular regard. So I think it's important to learn the building blocks, and you're going to see there's a formula. A lot of these blocks are built on Martin Seligman's PERMA model, the PERMA, components of well-being. You're going to see none of this is rocket science, none of it at all. Anybody can learn this stuff. And even if you do have your own mental health challenges, I urge you to please try and build up some of these parts of the formula in your own life. Start small, make it manageable, and just do a little at a time, but you're going to have to make time for it, and you're going to have to make headspace for it. Feeling good and functioning well doesn't just happen naturally necessarily for a lot of people. But that's why I include this section, because I think it's so important to learn what you need to do or what you could choose to do to feel better and function even better in your life. So I built on Seligman's model. Someone else added V for vitality, and that's probably what we think of when we think of well-being. It's the kind of physical side of well-being, and that involves eating well, sleeping well, and moving our bodies. But there's way more to well-being than just that, as I'm sure you're probably becoming aware now. Just because you eat well and sleep well and move your body doesn't necessarily mean you feel good. You might be functioning really well, but you might not feel good. So there's a whole mental component to well-being as well. And then I add on their strengths, gratitude, and mindfulness. And again, we're getting a lot of airplay on those particular topics lately, and I'm so pleased about that, because each of these on their own is not enough to guarantee that you feel good and function well. But when we put them all together and start understanding how we ourselves individually can apply this or learn it and apply it in our own lives and take steps to make improvements in it, then we are going to get there and we're going to feel better. Even if you're coming from quite a dark place, have a go at trying to prioritise putting some of these building blocks into play in your own life.